Do you know what this is?
I know what this is.
Of course you do. How could you mistake the new iPhone for anything else? Put the iPhone 8 next to the iPhone 7 and subtle changes like the new glass back, or the revised aluminum sides, or the trim around the camera lens, they kind of fade away. It takes using the 8 and 8 Plus to see where they stand out, and I've spent 2 days doing just that. I'm Mr. Mobile, and this is my initial review of the iPhone 8 and 8 Plus, brought to you by Tech21. A lot of reviews have already gone up, so I'm not gonna retread all the stuff you already know about the iPhone 8. The new iOS 11 operating system, the True Tone display, the spec sheet, this is stuff you can read about, and I'll suss out the important bits in the second half of this review, landing next week. For now, I want to talk about the three main standouts that have stuck with me during my time with iMore and their two iPhone review devices. To a great many of you, the first one is going to be the least important. But you know what? I don't care. I love it. Since Palm introduced it in 2009, wireless charging has been one of the most misunderstood smartphone features. And I'm not going to relitigate the case here, but I suspect Apple fans will already understand what I mean when I say this should have been on the iPhone years ago. The zen-like simplicity of ditching fiddly cables and ports for just placing your phone on a pad, it seems especially well suited to the iPhone. To be fair, even mighty Apple isn't immune to the drawbacks of physics. The charge rate is just as slow as the included wall adapter, slower than the fast wireless charging on the newest Samsung phones. I still think it's great that iPhone users now have the option, though, and Apple's halo effect means we should see more wireless chargers pop up in more places now. Fun fact, you can charge the phone without taking your case off, which is nice. The second, and by far the most noticeable standout, the iPhone 8's cameras. It wasn't immediately apparent just how much better they are because Apple is still using LCDs for displays on these, whose colors just don't pop as much as the OLED screens in some Android phones. But the iMore team and I did an awful lot of photo and video capture with the new iPhones, putting them side by side with shots from Android flagships, and I was surprised to see how often the iPhone photos came out on top, in terms of detail and low-light performance. If you've been following me on Instagram for a while, you know I almost exclusively shoot with Android phones, most recently the LG V30 and Samsung Galaxy Note 8. But in almost all of our side-by-side shooting this week, the iPhone has rendered pictures with less noise, or pulled more light from a scene, or done a better job stabilizing a bumpy walking video. Over on the iPhone 8 Plus, I'm kind of not as enthused about portrait mode still. The new artificial studio lighting effects are really amazing to see in person, but you usually have to take 4 or 5 bad ones before you end up with one you'd want to share. I need to spend more time with this to decide how I feel about it, but I don't expect I'll label it a must-have feature. Making up for that are the video upgrades. Shooting 4K in 60 frames a second is something even my primary studio camera can't do. And I filmed for 20 minutes straight with an 8 Plus without it breaking a sweat. Then there's slow-mo in Full HD at 240 frames a second. I'm sorry for getting all numbers heavy on you, but those numbers give you video like this, which you can't get at that frame rate and resolution with any other phone right now. There's more slow-mo phone dropping candy at the end of the video, by the way. Keep in mind, I edited this on Final Cut Pro before I got the High Sierra update, so codec conversion has probably dropped the quality somewhat. This is something I hope I won't have to deal with when I publish part 2 of this review next week. Many of those camera features wouldn't be possible without Apple's new A11 SoC, which is my third big pillar of the iPhone 8 experience. I'm not a spec head, so it feels kind of weird for me to emphasize silicon, but by all accounts, the A11 is a beast of a chip. It's apparently so efficient that the iPhone 8 can run ARKit, Apple's augmented reality suite, using something like half the resources the A10 and the iPhone 7 did. The neural engine in the A11 also makes a lot of that photo magic possible, the stuff I talked about a second ago. and it's a more power-efficient processor to boot. All that boils down to some significant future-proofing. In short, the iPhone 8 should age well, at least on the inside. Of course, despite all those awesome features, the predictably designed iPhone 8 won't be the phone to lure away restless, would-be Android converts. That role falls to the better-equipped iPhone X, which offers a much bolder aesthetic to go with its stratospheric price tag. But the iPhone 8 isn't for them. It's for 6 and 6S owners who want a solid upgrade in a familiar form factor. Just beware, that familiar form factor is a glass sandwich, more fragile than its metal-backed predecessors. To protect it, snap up a custom case from today's sponsor, Tech21. These folks have been building phone cases for 10 years, and their materials are rigorously tested in partnership with the National Physical Laboratory. From ultra-slim, lightweight designs to wallet cases, Tech21 gives you 10